So, I just wanted to make a video dedicated to who is, in my opinion, the greatest fictional villain of all time, Dr. Victor Von Doom, King of Latveria, Master of Mortal Sciences, and Adept of the Mystic Arts. Dr. Doom, who is as complicated as he has it in him to be a pure evil villain at times. He is a more vicious and conniving Darth Vader. He is this fearsome tactician, a supernatural powerhouse, and if written well, he can truly, honestly, be one of the most compelling villains ever encountered in any work of fiction ever. Um, but as with any comic book character, the whole character remains uncertain, shall we say? You really have to pick and choose. You have to choose between backstories and histories, and really how the character is portrayed, even at their most basic level, because there are 100 different alternate universes and different writers at play, all with their different goals in mind, and they all have different storylines at work and a bigger picture sometimes. And because of that, comics can almost be even more forgiving than like a movie or a book, say, because Darth Vader, shall we say, is saddled with all the baggage of the prequels, and the just generally piss poor writing decisions of George Lucas. Doctor Doom doesn't have that problem because, like the Joker, Doctor Doom's backstory is multiple choice, and that makes him so much more interesting and also so much more dull depending on which backstory you choose. So Doctor Doom for me is he's best represented as a an actual dictator, a cold and calculating scientist and a master of magic, very arrogant, a wizard king, but crucially, he is a leader put in power by the people, right? A freedom fighter risen from poverty in a Balkan state, the fictional Balkan state of Latveria, and he is the savior of his people. Doom grew up a victim of some very classic old world hatred and prejudice, and he was treated poorly. His mother was a witch, however, though not like a tarot reading, crystal ball scrying witch. So she was more of like an esoteric devil worshiper, which is not quite the same stereotype you would expect. And very crucially, it's not normal for the Latverian people. She is rather specifically a standout case. But because she was trying to use magic to defeat the evil dictator of their nation, she unfortunately was tricked and dragged down into the depths of the underworld by Mephisto, who is the devil of the Marvel Universe. At least in the comics, I have no idea what the heck is going on in the cinematic universe, and frankly, I'm not sure I care. Um, but I digress. Doctor Doom grew up oppressed, without a mother, and it was only through his incredible intellect that he was able to adapt to his situation and prove himself a genius. And a genius so smart and so talented that he was basically recruited by a bunch of rich, exploitative white Americans who shipped him off to school to, build bombs for the American government or something. Um, that part's a little bit hazy in my immediate memory. But it was at school that he studied with a young Reed Richards. And pretty much right off the bat, I think Doom kind of Doom hated Reed, and and I think it's a sort of a situation where Reed's existence is kind of an insult to Doom, right? Because Reed in the comics is this quote unquote successful American kid who seems to have had a perfect life, right? This incredible, successful, wonderful existence, right? And it makes Doom mad, right? After all his suffering, all of the pain and torment that he's been through, Reed gets everything on a silver platter. How dare he be intelligent? How dare Reed Richards be capable and able to rise so high? Um, at least that's the way Doom sees it, I think. And of course, that is the way the chronically oppressed Doom would view the situation. And my Doctor Doom is also a mama's boy, right? He once tried to create an extra dimensional machine to communicate with and perhaps even rescue his mother uh, from hell. Um, but there was like a flaw in his invention, which Reed Richards picked up on and tried to warn Doom about, but Doom was not having it. All right, of course his machine would work, right? It has to. He's a genius, right? The machine needed to work, and it didn't. It exploded, and that leads to a very important part of Doom's character, his ego, right? Like Darth Vader, Doctor Doom is scarred, but unlike Darth Vader, I prefer the iteration where Doom is just such an arrogant bastard that he has this tiny little scar on his face. He got lucky, and it's this miracle. He's only like, a red wicked scar, perhaps, but nothing disfiguring necessarily. But Doom is so conceited that in his mind he is now hideous, and he leaves the school and forges on to learn magic in Eurasia, and he builds a like magical suit of power armor that even uh, that even Iron Man would be jealous of, and he builds the uh, the helmet, right, to hide his horrific visage. I love the idea that Doom is like incredibly handsome, and he has that little scar, and it drives him nuts. That's how arrogant he is, and of course he has to be arrogant because he either had to be arrogant or let his ego be destroyed in the brutalist, nightmarish, fascist regime he grew up in. Right? It was either grow an ego the size of East Texas or die. Um, and and having built his armor and mastered all these different forms of magic, Doom returns to Latveria and he frees his people. He puts himself in power instead of the tyrannical, uncaring dictator before him, and he saves his people. Um, and that is Doctor Doom to me. That's the version that I love. And like I said, it's a bit of a pick and choose situation. That's not the complete backstory, and it's not the only backstory. There are plenty of people who think Doctor Doom is like horrifically scarred, like looks like a slab of beef jerky. I don't like that. That I don't think that has the same ring to it as Doom just being so conceited that a little scar drives him nuts. And that's like I really love the idea that Doom builds an army of robots in his own likeness because he's that Doom is so extra. He's such a drama queen. That's like he's such a fun character. He's like the equivalent of frickin' Euron Greyjoy in the A Song of Ice and Fire series. He's just so armored in his ridiculous medieval suit of armor with his army of people who look exactly like him. Um, and he has a castle, and he talks with that thick accent. And I love the idea that Doom might even like put on an even thicker Latverian accent than he might naturally have. That kind of seems funny to me and very in character. Um, and he is like, okay, Doom is so arrogant, but he's also very charming and kingly, at least the way I see him, right? I think if written well, he has a certain charm to him, and you do feel bad for him, and you kind of feel like he has a point a lot of the time. He's a freedom fighter, and sometimes a very petulant, petty monarch, but he's also very respectful and clever, and I think he loves his people very much. He's willing to save the world in order to save Latveria, and Doom, in my opinion, should honestly love his people and love his homeland, and the Latverian people should love him. Um, which leads me to wonder. They're putting him in a movie, and he's going to be played by Robert Downey Jr. And I don't see Robert Downey Jr. pulling that off. Um, he's I, I doubt he'll do an accent, and I doubt he'll give us the right kind of charisma required. We need like someone with gravitas, someone with power and prestige, right? Doom is a king, and we would need someone like a young Christopher Lee, and or someone to that effect, right? And RDJ is charming, I think, because he's very relatable. He's a little smug and he's very familiar, right? He's making jokes and quippy and very charming in that in a very different way than say the imposing, terrifying, powerful man from a different world, a different age that is the original Doctor Doom. Um, I think a good writer can perhaps salvage that and reconcile the two very different personalities. And who knows, RDJ could surprise me. He very well could. Um, but he seemed very much like Robert Downey Jr. even when he played Sherlock Holmes, so I don't have high hopes on that front. And I'm not sure we have that good a writer involved. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one. But I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say is Doctor Doom is my favorite, quite possibly my favorite fictional villain in anything ever. And I don't have high hopes for his involvement in the upcoming movies. He's such a he's such a great character that it's almost like you need to do him right or or not at all. Um, and there are quite a few characters like that. The Joker comes to mind, and I'm sure you all know of the examples of the Joker done wrong, and how terrible that was. Um, and frankly, I can't imagine what they're planning with Doom. But given the current state of the MCU, even with the brilliance of Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four, I'm not expecting a miracle, honestly. I hope I'm wrong. I really do, because I want my Latverian dictator, my genius freedom fighter, my master mystic, my great supernatural warrior, and my imposing, petty, arrogant asshole sorcerer. Right? Give me doom or give me death. Maybe not death. Um, maybe not death. But please give me doom for goodness sakes. It'd be awesome. Uh, so yeah, bye.